Welcome to the Commander's Journey, a journey for new Commander players ready to uncover their hidden magic potential.
Welcome back. I'm Joel.
And I'm Alex.
And today we have Commander Legends, our top 10 picks. Now, these top 10 picks are just like our favorite top 10 picks. We do like to pick cards that are powerful, but it's not necessarily the most powerful. There's probably better lists out there that have, tier lists of what the most powerful cards are. But we just picked our top 10, our favorite. We each pick our top 5 like usual. We pick a sleeper each go around, and with these lately we've been picking our top reprints as well, so that's pretty fun. So you ready for this, Alex?
I am, and I want to apologize ahead of time for everybody. My audio quality is going to be a little lower than it has been other times. The microphone I have gotten is not working as it should, and instead of, we need to get in a recording, and we said, hey, we'll just have a little lower quality, and I'll use my headset mic, so I think it is what it is, and I apologize in advance.
And he tried his best. We've been working at it for what, an hour and a half, almost 2 hours, trying to get your mic to work.
No matter what I do, the device manager wants to say it's a speaker when it's a microphone. It's driving me a little insane. But anyways,
no worries. That's nuts.
It is what it is. And the other thing too, we're gonna do two different ones of our Commander Legends top 10. This is cards in the 99. We will do a separate ones for the commanders, things that can be commander, with all those partner guys running around.
Yeah, so we don't have any legendaries in here because we're going to do a top 10 of that next week, right? Or the week after.
Exciting stuff.
Quick as we can. And a quick disclaimer, we're not going to talk about the lovely jeweled Lotus that everybody's been talking about lately. It's a good card. It's not something that we put in our playgroup. We're a more casual commander playgroup anyway. Maybe in the competitive world it can be, argued that it's pretty darn good, but
in CEDH this looks absolutely busted. In most EDH, this seems pretty, part of the course, decent, not crazy great, but good, card. It's not stupid overpowered in most casual games, and especially if you have ways to bring it back, that's where it gets more powerful. But, if you're not playing CEDH, while nice, it's not crazy overpowered, in my opinion, in normal games, looking at it.
And do you know what 2 cards I end up cracking in my 6 packs in my my pre-con, or my not pre-con and pre-release packs?
What'd you get?
A Jeweled Lotus and an Opposition Agent.
Well, there you go.
Not kidding. Not kidding.
Opposition Agent. That's another one too. I think it's going to cause problems in CDH, and in your average commander game, I don't think you're going to really see it very often. It's going to be a rarity.
I think it's a good card. We don't play a lot of tutors. Of course, we have land tutors, and there's a few here and there, but I don't think it's as relevant for us either.
Yeah, exactly. With the exception of ramp, I pretty much don't do any tutoring whatsoever. I talk about the podcast a lot, so it's mostly wasted on me.
So let's get into it. Let's get into our top 10. So should we start off with our sleepers?
Yeah, it's always fun to start with our sleepers.
Okay.
My sleeper pick this time around is an interesting common. It's Forceful Denial. It's 3 blue and a blue for an instant that has Cascade. And then it just says very simply, counter target spell.
I like it. I like it because you get that count, you counter something, and then you can just Cascade right into something. Now, 5 mana is a bit to hold up, but I mean, in the right decks, this could be pretty darn good.
I looked at it this way. It's pretty much a 5 mana counterspell, which is definitely a big downside. But you cast something of lesser value at instant speed for free when you cast this spell. So regardless of what is, especially if you had another like a 4 mana cost thing, really you spent 5 mana to play something for 4 mana at instant speed and then also counter something, right? You paid 1 mana in that instance to counter it. And if you happen to hit something lower, which you very well might, you'll get like a rock at instant speed, and that's not a bad downside at all. I wouldn't mind having a rock on top of my counter spell, even for 5 mana.
Yeah, it's not bad. In the right, like you said, in the right cases, man, it could hit something pretty cool in those right decks. So
what you got, Joel?
My sleeper is a fun one. It's also a blue card. I just keep getting a kick every time I read this card and look at it. It's just so much fun. Azure Fleet Admiral for 3 and a blue. It's a creature human pirate, and when Azure Fleet Admiral enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. Already pretty cool. And Azure Fleet Admiral can't be blocked by creatures the monarch controls, and it's a 3/3. So it's just hilarious to me because it's like, you get the monarchy, you get that card draw, and then people always go after the monarchy, right? In the game of Commander, somebody's gonna swing in, fly in, do something. And Azure Fleet Admiral every time is going to attack whoever has a monarchy, and that person can't block him. It's like he's gonna steal the monarchy back each and every go around. It's hilarious to me. It's a fun looking card. At common.
As long as he's in play, he's going to take it back for you. And I think that's fantastic in and of itself. Any deck that cares about that is great. And honestly, if you're just looking for a solid blue creature, I think that's a fantastic and fun choice.
Yeah, definitely a lot of fun. It both introduces the monarch to the game, and then it always wants to snag it back. Pretty fun card. That's my sleeper. It might not go super up in value. I just think it's super fun and should see more play. We'll see. Okay, how about top reprint? What's your top reprint?
Top reprint. My top reprint is a card I've been waiting for them to reprint for a long time. So even though it's not the most expensive one, it is up there, though. I am very happy that it's back. And that is a Command Beacon.
Yeah.
It's a land. You can tap it for a mono or tap it to sacrifice it and put your commander into your hand from the command zone. So it's an emergency get-out-of-jail card for your commander. And it was like $20-something, and I did not want to spend $20-something on Command Beacon. So I'm very happy with this reprint.
Oh, wouldn't mind getting a few of those in my deck.
What do you got, Joel?
Okay, so for my top reprint, it's gotta be Scroll Rack. Yeah. So it's Scroll Rack for 2 generic as an artifact. 1, you tap, exile any number of cards from your hand face down. You put that many cards from the top of your library into your hand, and then look at that exiled cards and put them on top of your library in any order. It's just so much fun to be able to filter through, and then because, people have been playing this card forever, just because you can be in those colors that don't give you a lot of card draw, or those colors, even the colors that do, like, you want to be able to shuffle and play what cards you want to play. Plus, if you have a shuffle effect like a land like Evolving Wilds or something, you can just get rid of a bunch of stuff too at the same time, and just refill your hand a bit. So, and it was pretty expensive, I think, for a while. So I think this is bringing the price back down.
It's critical. And I want to say a special shout out to Wizards. So many great reprints, so many needed reprints in the set. Mana Drain, Vampiric Tutor, Rings. There's so many high ones that are even just at the $10 level that really probably shouldn't have been. And then some huge ones, again, like I just mentioned, that were like $50-$60 that way needed to come down. And I'm so happy they reprinted them. I hands off to Wizards. Yeah, unsung hero of this whole set is the reprints.
Rings of Bright Hearth, all those cards. Yeah.
Exciting stuff.
Okay, so top 10. So you're number 5.
Let's do it, Joel. Ooh, top 5. My number 5 is a very interesting card, and I did like about this set too. A lot of things aren't like blow out of the water fantastic. Most of them are kind of just cool commander cards. A little more interesting play arounds, build arounds, more for specific decks. And this one I think is really snazzy. Definitely more of a creature-based deck, but it's Archon of Coronation. 4 white and a white for a creature Archon. It has flying. When Archon of Coronation enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. As long as you're the monarch, damage doesn't cause you to lose life. It's a 5/5. I think this is a really freaking cool card, a really unique effect.
I like that last bit of text there. As long as you are the monarch, damage doesn't cause you to lose life. It's just, like you said, man, that could be very powerful. That could be very good.
And it's just one of those ones that, it's... I just think it's so cool and such an interesting ability. And it reminds me of Blazing Archon, which is the one that a lot of mana, a lot of decks go into it, but that creatures can't attack you. It has a similar vibe to that, where it's just, you're going to sit there. As long as this is in play, you're stalwart. There's not a lot they can do against you.
They got to remove it or make sure you don't have the monarchy.
Exactly. Those are their 2 options at that point.
That's where you're very common.
Lose the monarchy.
That's why
it's hard to lose the monarchy when you can't lose life, Joel.
I just talked about a very cool blue common, Azure
But yeah,
Fleet Admiral,
I
that's
won't
gonna
block it, Joel.
won't be
But
able to
at the
block.
same time,
I'm gonna take it back every time.
I know, I know.
Anyway, uh,
It's the workaround they had to do so that way they can steal the Monarch back. I'm a little sad with it because it has to do with it hits you, not when it deals damage. But man, I think it's pretty cool. I wish that wording didn't exist.
yeah, exactly. Well, there you go. Well,
There you
glad to
go.
have the Monarchy back. Another card for my number 5 that brings back another really cool and fun keyword, and that keyword is Cascade, of course. This is Flamekin Herald. It's 2 and a red for a creature elemental wizard, and it says commander spells you cast have Cascade, and it's a 3/2. So I just think this just seems like a lot of fun. Like especially with the commander pairings, now you have multiple commanders. So you have 2 different commanders. It might be more common to have more partner commanders. And that means both of your commanders have Cascade as well. So,
And I think this looks even better in decks that a commander has a little bit of beef behind it, right? As a high mana cost, you can really get something else big out with it. I
exactly.
think that's a fun choice.
Yeah, and even though the commander tax won't count for for that cascade effect, it still just looks at the CMC. You're still on that second or third time where you have to pay that extra tax, and you always feel bad, like, oh, I got to recast my commander. They removed it, whatever. You don't feel as bad with if you have Flamekin Herald out, because now you're getting maybe a 2-for-1 kind of thing, each time you cast your commander. So I think that could be fun. So I like it.
So true. I didn't even realize the commander tax aspects of it and the implications of it. That just makes that look even better.
Yeah, they don't count for it. The tax wouldn't make the cascade cost higher.
Ah, bummer.
No, yeah,
I didn't know that. I'm learning something, Joel. I appreciate
I
it.
did my research on it right before. I'm pretty sure that's correct. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in
No,
the
no, no. I
comments,
think you're very right.
but I don't think it counts towards the CMC. I think it's just an
No,
extra
if you
tax.
looked it
Yeah.
up, that's all I was gonna do. And I'm a little bummed. I was like, man, that's even better. Oh well.
Yeah, that would be awesome. But yeah, no, that's not that way.
Oh well, it is what it is. Okay, so my number 4 is the one that I think we're gonna see it's a much needed card in some key monocolored decks, and I'm really happy that they put this in. It just exists in general, and that card is War Room. It's a land. You can tap it for a colorless or 3 and tap it. So really for 4 mana total. You pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's color identity. So especially for like mono white and mono red, that's pretty key. And just lets you draw a card. So it's just a very efficient card drawer that, especially in those 2 colors, desperately need that card draw. It costs 4 mana to do it. It's it's not like it's painless, but there's a lot of key situations where I'd be really happy to have that.
Yeah, and I think in some 2-color decks, like if you're in maybe Orzhov or Boros, especially Boros, I mean, like you can use this card because you don't mind paying that life. In Orzhov, you're probably going to get
Exactly.
that life back, and in Boros, you need card draw.
Really badly. That's what I'm saying. It really fills in a hole, and there's a couple cards in this set that really fill a hole, and I really like that.
Yeah, I think there's a really I'm looking forward to we got the box coming this weekend. Looking forward to doing some drafting with you guys.
Exciting.
Fun cards here. My number 4 is an interesting card. It's fun for me because as a new player, like I like cards like this because they make it more difficult for me to play, which means it's more fun in a way. And that card is Sphinx of the Second Sun. It's 6 and a blue, or 2 blues, 6 and 2 blues for a creature Sphinx with flying as a 6/6. And the text on him says at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you get an additional beginning phase after this phase. So I just think it's a lot of fun because you're going to get that beginning phase again. So where you'll untap, you will untap all your creatures, your lands, and you're going to get that card draw. And if you have any upkeep triggers that go off, it's even better. It just seems like a lot of fun. It's almost feels like a Wilderness Reclamation or a Seaborn Muse for blue in a way because it sticks around and this effect stays on the board.
Especially the mana cost is the only thing that even peeves me a little bit. Otherwise, it's just a home run all the way around. But even just looking at it, it really is. I think a Seedborn Muse is a very amped comparison because if you look at it, it's going to untap all your permanents because it's your untap step. You're going to get to draw a card for free.
Mhm.
And 8 mana for a 6/6 flyer that, untaps all your permanents at your end step and draws you an additional card. And, is really, that's pretty fantastic just in of itself.
Yeah, I think it makes it good because you got those high costed counter spells like you were just talking about, one Forceful Denial, and
Mhm.
this Sphinx of the Second Sun can kind of help you with that mana cost, right? Because you get
Yeah.
that untap and just you can still do your thing on your turn, and then you can also open up some mana and keep it open. It just lets you do a little bit more, I think. So
I think this is one of those cards that's really interesting, really unique, and a good example of what they really added to this set. It's just something kind of tricky. I just wish it was 1 mana cheaper. I'd be really happy with it if that would play. If it was 5 and 2 blue, I would have been, that's a home run.
is it
And
really
it's just one more than I want it to be.
One more left.
One more, and I would be. I still think it's good of it, but I think it's more interesting and kooky. If it was one less, I'd be like, oh, this is we're hitting power levels that I'm
Yeah.
impressed by.
Yeah, but maybe that's good because lately they've been putting off a
That's very
lot of
true.
powerful cards. So and I people talking about the power creep in Magic. So maybe that's good. It takes a little longer to get to an effect like that.
There you go. Looking at the upside here, I think we got to do a podcast on that, Joel, on the creep of power creep coming around the corner.
Yeah, I think it's been coming for a while. Um, but the Sphinx, yeah, no, 6/2 blue. Yeah, if it was cheaper, I guess it would be better. But I think it's still pretty darn good in the right builds.
I think it's super fun, especially there are certain decks that I think that this will be one of those ones that just does so much stuff with the upkeep triggers and all this stuff where it's a perfect home.
Nice. Okay, so what's your number 3?
So my number 3 is Hellkite Coarser. 4 red and a red for a creature dragon. That's flying, and whenever Hellkite Coarser enters the battlefield, you may put a commander you own from the command zone onto the battlefield. It gains haste and returns the command zone at the beginning of your next end step. It's a 6/5.
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow, you can cheat out some stuff with this.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's too bad. I'm glad it's not a dinosaur, anyways.
I was just thinking to myself, I thought too when I actually saw the card, I was like, is it worth putting a dragon in my dinosaur deck to sneak out my dinosaur really 3 turns early?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably it is, but you'd be breaking the golden rule.
That's true. It would be even only 2 turns early. So that's why I decided against it. But man, I really thought about it, Joel. There was a real thought that I was like, is it worth it? It might be worth
You never. But there are a lot of good commanders. Are gonna. Sneak out your commander. That's pretty darn cool.
It's pretty crazy, and it gets even crazier when you think of blink effects and all this, where you can really cheat out your commander. You could play a game where you don't ever cast your commander normally. You just cheat out over and over again with Hellkite Coarser. So it's like you had your commander out the whole freaking game, but instead you never cast it once. You just cheated it out over and over again. I totally see that play pattern happening. It's definitely one of those cards too, and especially with big body commanders, or as you get later in the game, the command tax becomes more of a downside. I really think this card will show its own and how fantastic it is in our format.
There you go. Anytime it says Hellkite on there, you know you're gonna get a nasty dragon. You know it.
There you go.
Oh my goodness, I lost my. Oh, there it is. Found it again. Okay. So my number 3, I cheated because you usually cheat on these. So I cheated this time, and I picked an entire cycle just because I couldn't decide which I like best. So the court cycle, the one everybody's talking about, Court of Bounty. It's 2 green for an enchantment. And when Court of Bounty enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. And if you're the monarch, instead you may put a creature or land card from your hand onto the battlefield.
It's so disgusting.
Yeah, so it's really good. The green one, obviously everybody loves that one. It's really good, but all of them are great. The red and the black one, to me, are equally as great. In those colors, it does what it wants to do. In red, you're burning people for 2 or 7. In black, you're draining people for 3 or 6. I think the blue one mills either a card or 2 or 10. and then the white one I think makes 1/1s or makes 4/4s, 4/4 flyers. So it's like in those color identities, like these enchantments do exactly what you want to do. So I just feel like they're really good. Some of them seem super powerful, like Court of Bounty, of course. Court of Ambition, I think, in an Aristocrats deck is great. Court of Eerie, I guess is how you say it. The red one,
Yeah.
or Ire.
Or Ire.
Court
Yeah,
of
Ire.
Ire, yeah. In burn decks, especially with burn decks these days, where in Commander people tend to be with like Obosh and Torbrin, they tend to be multiplying their burn spells. So, yeah, seems pretty good.
Hey Joel, why is Sphinx of the Second Sun 8 mana instead of 7, but Court of Bounty is 4 instead of 5? This card's still stupid at 5 mana. It's even stupider at 4. Why is Court of Ire 1 more mana than Court of Bounty? I have some opinions on Court of Bounty now of the opposite direction. It probably should be 1 more.
Probably it's that good. Court of Ambition is only 4 as well.
Yeah. And they're all powerful, but Court of Bounty, if you play your cards right, really, if you can just hold on to the monarchy for a go round, especially right after you cast it on turn 5, you can play whatever frickin' size creature you want. I can get Ulamog out.
Yeah.
Turn 5 by that logic. You know what I mean? It's the good news is it doesn't say cast on it, but still, it's scary.
Yeah, and with a big creature decks, you're probably gonna have an easier time holding on to that monarchy and defending it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's that good. That's why people have been talking about it. But the whole court cycle, I think, is really good within the different colors. And if you're doing those things, like if you're in black and you're doing Aristocrats, you're gonna want Court of Ambition in there, because at the beginning of upkeep, each opponent loses 3 life unless they discard a card. So either they're gonna get drained, or they're gonna be losing card advantage, and they'll probably keep taking the 3 life. It's Commander, right?
Yeah.
But that's exactly what you want to do in an Aristocrat game. And if you're the Monarch, instead they lose 6 life unless they discard 2 cards. So anyway, that's my gambit on that. It's it just seems like the right kind of card, the right kind of enchantment. And enchantments are hard to remove, so it just seems like the right kind of card you want to put in those colors if you're doing those things.
I'm so behind this pick, Joel. Especially Court of Bounty. It scares me.
Yeah, it's good.
Especially it's at rare. Lovely. So my number 2 is a very interesting card, also part of a cycle. But it was one of those ones, I just think it's the standout of the cycle. I think most of the cycle is actually pretty fantastic, but especially this one seems really, really good to me, especially when you compare it to other effects like it. And that is Sakashimas Will. It's 3 and a blue for a sorcery. Choose one. If you control a commander as you cast the spell, you may choose both. Target opponent chooses a creature they control, you gain control of it. Or choose a creature you control. Each other creature you control becomes a copy of that creature until end of turn. So, especially if you have your commander out, this gets really, really interesting. But often you can target a person who's, what's nice about the wording of it is you can take care of someone who's in a Voltron situation, right? They choose the creature and you get control of it. They pass it along. It does wording that ignores hexproof. It's also very nice about it is it doesn't work as great in a token strategy, but you can just go for something or not even care about the fact and just making everything a copy of your best creature. That's going to be really powerful really quickly. And, we especially with Sakashima, which we'll talk about next week. This is just an amazing, very interesting card.
Yeah, that made me think if you had that, next week we're going to talk about the commanders, but I guess if you had the commander with the same name, Sakashima, and copied it, and you had, I wonder how many, you can probably make copies of their commanders if you stole their commander.
You absolutely could, and because of the wording of it, Sakashima himself, where the legendary rule does no longer applies, that's really crazy. And with Sakashima's Will, it's still affected by it, but
so you choose the person that only has their commander out. Somehow you wipe the rest of their board, and you just let them keep their commander out, and then that's the only one they can. That's the only creature they control.
Yeah.
So that's the only one they can choose, and then you copy it a bunch of times.
There are timing things on it where it's really easy to hit what you want to hit, and even if you're just focusing on the second half, you got a worm coil engine out. You hit Sakashimas Will, every token you have becomes a worm coil engine. That's a little scary.
Just a little
And
bit.
I mean, like again, it definitely seems like a 4 mana potential win condition, or a 4 mana, really mess with the board, mess with an opponent. It's just an interesting card. I really think it has a lot of play, and at 4 mana, I think it's a decent deal.
Yeah, very good. There you go. Okay,
Yep.
my number 2 is not a reprint, because they added 3 little letters in front of it. It's Will of Misfortune, not Will of Fortune. It's Will of Misfortune. It's 2 and a red for a sorcery, and it says each player secretly chooses a number 0 or greater. Then all players reveal those numbers simultaneously and determine the highest and lowest numbers revealed this way. So I don't know how you're going to do that. Maybe draw it on a little sticky note and everybody flip it over or something. Will of Misfortune deals damage equal to the highest number to each player who chose that number. And then each player who didn't choose the lowest number discards their hand and then draws 7 cards. So one person is going to be left out of this, right? And everybody else is going to be able to wheel their entire hand, just like Wheel of Fortune. I just think it's fun. Adds that little element of, hey, everybody gamble a little bit. And then everybody takes a little damage. If you want to take a little bit of damage, take some damage and draw a bunch of cards. Or, you're not going to be able to draw a card. Maybe choose 0 if you don't want to take any damage. But, yeah, it just seems like really fun. And, with all the... there's definitely wheel decks out there, but just having a good wheel like this in any red deck, just to refill your hand, I think is very, very effective and very powerful. And that has that little added bonus to burn a few people along the way, just like red likes to do.
I'm curious. It seems like Wheel of Misfortune, there's a chance where it burns you yourself, which is very red, of course, to have that happen. There's definitely a mind game in here where maybe you dance around 1 or 2 and see if hopefully no one goes too higher. I'm a little curious to how this ends up playing out, because I definitely see big things this card doing, and then sometimes you just getting completely burned by it, and it completely is going to come down to your group. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, I'm interested to know the rulings on like people that choose the same numbers. Like if 2 people chose 1 and then 2 other people chose 3 or something.
It says it when equal to the highest number to each player who chose that number. So if you all chose 6, let's say 3 people chose 6, the other guy went something lower, then everyone who chose 6 would take 6. And same thing with if whoever chose the lowest number, it's each player. This is the wording. So everyone who happened to tie for that lowest number just doesn't get to draw 7 cards.
Nice. Be weird if everybody chose the same number. I wonder if that would just be a redo.
I'm a little. I guess in that scenario, not only would everyone get burned, but no one would be able to draw cards. That's the wording.
Yeah, I guess so. Everybody gets burned, no card draw. That's a very misfortunate.
Because everyone both chose the highest number and the lowest number.
That's just like
everyone gets burned for
It's like you hit
whatever the number is.
So on that Wheel of Misfortune, there's a line there that says bankrupt everybody. Okay, there you go.
Yes.
Okay, here we go. Alex is number 1. Let's get the drum roll, please.
On to number 1. It continues my love for them helping out white in any way they can. This is a creature that it really reminds me of Mentor of the Meek in its ability to go into almost every white deck, but not every single one, but most of them, especially mono white, and really help out in this version with ramp, which is something that, whites really struggles with. This is the first real big ramp kind of card in white. It's the first time that I noticed that it's consistently you can go into play. And that card is Keeper of the Accord. It's 3 and a white for a creature human soldier. Beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more creatures than you, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. That's great. Not the point, though. The main thing is at the beginning of each opponent's end step, if that player controls more lands than you may search your library for a basic plains card and put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then shuffle your library. It's a 3/4. So, in theory, as long as one person slightly ahead of you, kind of like with land tax, except in land tax puts in your hand, this goes into the battlefield. So You go, you just put a bunch of basic planes in your deck, and you won't ever be in front, but you'll chances are be in second almost the whole time while everyone else is ramping. You just have this creature out, and you're taking all the benefit of it.
Yeah, it keeps those mono white and those Boros decks from getting too far behind, right?
Really does. And for the Boros specifically, the 1 white soldier tokens are really, often critical.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. White often likes to use tokens for different things too, man. Get a why is my brain freezing right now? Not a scroll rack, but the artifact that you sack, it gives you +1, -1, and so you sack your
Skull
token.
Clamp?
Skull clamp, thank you. But because there's not a lot of great ways in like mono white or red like to draw, and skull clamp's great. So you can make those 1/1 white soldier tokens and just use them as fodder to draw a bunch of cards in your deck if you have a skull clamp.
There you go. Yeah, mono white Boros. I got decks this is going to slot into immediately. I'm looking forward to adding this to a number of decks.
Yes, me too. If I get it, I'm not giving you any of mine. I'm keeping them.
I don't blame you.
I've been eyeballing the Keeper of the Accord for a while. That's a great number one. Great, yeah. Especially even in like my Orzhov deck, I want to put it in there just because it keeps you ahead. Any 1 or 2 color decks that have white in it.
Yep.
Very good. All right.
Okay, Joel.
My number one. Here's a drum roll. I think this is expected, but I just think it's such a great card, just like everybody else does. As soon as I saw this card, I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, I like that card. And I think a lot of people do. It is a pirate, and it's awesome. It's Hull Breacher for 2 and a blue. It's a creature merfolk pirate. That's even cooler. That is both a merfolk and a pirate. And it's got flash. It's a 3/2 with flash. And if an opponent would draw a card, except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead you create a treasure token. So this thing is like, this merfolk pirate is kind of like Narset. It's kind of like, what's the other white? Smothering Tithe. It's like both of those kind of mixed up into this merfolk pirate. You turn off people's extra card draw, and instead you're gonna get some treasures. And I just love this card. And you flash it in too.
Yes, you'll get to steal it out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. We've all been there for the Rhystic Study Smothering Tithe conundrum on the board. Now we can have a Rhystic Study Hull Breacher Smothering Tithe conundrum, where everyone, the Rhystic Study guy is pissed at the Hull Breacher guy, and it's always going to be something.
It's still only in white and blue though.
Yes.
Yeah, but there you go. Somebody's cast Will of Misfortune, and then you flash this bad boy in, right? And then nobody gets to draw those extra cards. Instead, you get a bunch of treasure tokens.
There you go.
That's what I would do with this thing. Yeah, no, it's really nasty. Yeah, I guess in the more competitive groups where people do like have a big time draw step or a step where they want to draw a bunch of stuff, if you can flash this bad boy in, they're gonna cast it not realizing you're gonna do this to them. So as much as everybody's up on opposition agent for that similar reason, right? You flash in, steal somebody's ability to tutor for something. But this, I don't know. This, everybody draws cards. Like, not everybody has tutors. Like in our play group, we don't really have very many tutors, if any. But everybody has a lot of card draw spells, right? At least
exactly.
10 per deck.
Yeah, so definitely for our group. And I want to point out, too, this is one of those cards, unlike Jeweled Lotus, which I think will be okay in normal gameplay for normal EDH. It's just going to be okay. It's going to be similar to a lot of other rocks, a little more situational, but definitely be great when it's great and not when it's not. I don't see that with Hull Breacher. I see it's really fantastic in CEDH and still very good in normal EDH. I definitely think we'll see a lot of Hull Breachers in our future.
Yeah, I agree. I think it'll have the staying power of a Smothering Tithe and a Narset, and I think it will just continue to go up in value. So if you got one or you get one, do not trade it away. I think Hull Breacher is a keeper for sure.
Absolutely.
It's not quite the keeper of the Accord, but it's the keeper.
Well, there's a reason why it's already, the set hasn't quite come out yet. some of the early stuff has, but it's $26 right now.
Yeah.
So there's a good reason why.
Yeah. I mean, it'll probably go down, but then once it creeps back up, I think it'll creep up.
It'll go down and then go back up.
Yeah,
And,
I think it will, and
I'm-
like Smothering Tide, it'll just slowly creep every year, just like a little
Yes.
bit more.
I definitely foresee this card, shortly after release, maybe about 2 weeks later. That's when you're probably going to see it at Lotus. Hopefully, it actually really goes down, and everyone can grab a bunch, and then it'll creep right back up again because it's going to creep back. I think it's going to be in the 20s, definitely for the near future.
Fun card, great card. This pirate's a little bit more fun than the other pirate I talked about, but I still get a kick out of that Azure Fleet Admiral. I don't know why. No idea. Like everybody's gonna have 100 of them out of their boxes, but I don't know why I like it.
It's a fun card.
Well, there you go. There is our top 10 this week, and that's just our top 10 of the set, not including any of the legendaries, not including any of those cards that could be your commanders. We're going to do another recording and pick our top 10 of those and share that with you guys next week. So thank you guys for listening so much. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. What are your favorite cards out of this set? What cards are you excited to play with? Are there any cards that we mentioned that you guys maybe weren't thinking about and now are looking at, or are there cards you think we missed that you would put in your top 10? Kind of where would you stand?
Yeah, and if you're interested in buying any of these cards, check out our affiliate link with TCG Player in the description. We are a small channel, so especially any buy with the affiliate link really helps us out. It gets us very excited. So if you're interested and you like us and you're maybe thinking about getting a few of these bad boys, use our affiliate link, and we would really appreciate it.
All right, and that'll do it for this week. Until next time.
See ya.